Alrighty. Agent Scott, hello and welcome to Mind Bloom. How are
Thank you
you
for having
today?
me. I'm great. Thank you for having me. And how are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to have you. I'm a big fan. I hear your voice now and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to Spy Hearts. It's here right here in my bedroom. What's happening?
I could read you the intro if you'd like, if it makes you feel like centered.
Grounded and centered.
That's it.
Exactly. Yes. So Scott is a podcast host as well. He hosts with his fellow Canadian friend, not fellow Canadian friend. Wait, I'll rephrase that. Fellow spy movie lover friend who's in Canada. They host together a podcast called Spy Hearts, and I've happened to take a liking of this podcast, even though I have to say I know zero about spy movies, have never and Scott is just rolling his eyes at me. I've never watched a 007 what's a James Bond movie. See, I don't even know the guy's name.
What's his name? Who is this guy?
What's his name again? I've never watched a James Bond movie. I watched one with Daniel Craig because I was on a date with a cute guy, so I probably only looked at the guy. But still, I listen to Spy Hearts. I like it very much. They have an amazing banter. It's very interesting because, well, basically it's about movies and film, and that I love very, very much. And it's an intelligent conversation.
Whoa. Not intelligent.
Intelligent-ish.
Wow. One of us, maybe. One of us.
And I like your accents too, both of your accents. So yeah, it's entertaining. I'm in the kitchen doing the dishes and I'm just learning stuff about movies I will probably never watch.
At least you listen. That's all we care about, really.
That's the magic of podcasts. I just called Scott Agent Scott because that's how he calls himself in the podcast and on social media most of the time.
All times, actually. Everyone has to call me Agent Scott. It's a formality at this point. My mum hates it.
Who cares? Moms are overrated. So, Agent Scott, tell me, what makes your mind bloom?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I love it that you start off with asking this question because right now we're going through such a weird time that we should be focusing on stuff that makes our mind bloom. And for me, it's a weird answer, and it is time to myself. That really, yeah. I'm probably described as a hermit. I think if someone were to, if that was a clinically diagnosable thing, I would be a hermit. I relish in quietness and being by myself and my own thoughts. And one of the things lockdown has provided me is the ability to spend some time by myself.
I agree 100%. I think maybe an introvert, maybe that's something we could call ourselves. I definitely feel that same way. And my brother still to this day laughs and quotes me on one of the episodes when I say I couldn't have enough lockdown. I'm loving it. I love just being in my room, speaking with all these amazing and interesting people, but then just still being in my room. And the lockdown definitely provided that to us. And I think the introvert aspect of just this inherent nerdiness that we cultivate, I guess, is so propitious for podcast hosting.
I can be as enigmatic as I want over a microphone.
Yes.
And so enthusiastic as I want, whereas then I can just turn this all off and sit in silence for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a good thing for me anyway.
Yeah, for me too. So that's awesome. We have that in common. We have a big love for podcasts as well in common. and not so much James Bond. We have to agree to disagree.
It's good to have things to improve upon. So we know we can build you up from here. You get to experience it for the first time, and that's something to be envious of, because I've watched them all a billion times, so I can't enjoy them again. Well, I can.
You can.
I do. Yeah.
It's funny because I, even without watching the films, I disagree with everything you say on the podcast.
So are you the one that keeps sending us these angry emails then? Is that what it is? Right, okay.
Exactly. Just stop it. No. No, but the reason Agent Scott is here with us today is to speak, hopefully candidly, about mental health and about your specific mental health, and I guess up to approach men's mental health and male mental health, which is probably an epidemic, but no one really talks about it. Not a lot of people talk about it. It's not out there. It's a secret. Men don't cry. Men can't cry, or have a day where they feel not as good and not as well. And so it's so great to have you here, and to have your perspective on these things, these topics. So thank you.
Yeah, it's I feel like it needs to be spoken about more. I have a lot of stories about it. I have a lot of insight through someone who's dealt with it for 33 years, and well, not my whole life, but a good portion of my life in some way, shape, or form. It's just unfortunate that I can't speak to people as freely as others can.
As
Well,
others,
I can, but I feel as a sex, we are somehow inhibited from exhibiting these emotions because we're deemed as the ones who have to carry the load. Which might be a controversial statement, but I feel that. Whether that's true or not is different, but I feel that pressure.
Yeah. In preparation for our talk, and I think I'm preparing for the month of November to be on male mental health, and so I've been reading and just doing some research on it, and I came across an expression. It's so obvious, but I'd never seen it. It's the man box. I know, right? Maybe it's just an American thing. You know how they like to give names to every little thing. Every little hiccup's got a specific name.
Got to have a label for it.
A label, yes. NASA something. NASA made this for sure. Maybe James Bond. I don't know.
So what's the box?
So the mailbox is the socialization of men by other men, their parents, their fathers, and just this idea that passes from generation to generation of men are take all the load, like you were saying. They bring home the bacon. They don't cry. They're strong. They're the providers of the household. And they don't display vulnerability. They don't feel vulnerable. All of these things. So there's actually a few voices out there, as far as my research went, that are demystifying this and debunking this, and in a way to raise awareness for violence against women and girls, because this patriarchy speech and this toxic masculinity, I think is another term for the man box, it's an advocate for aggression, and it could be, it doesn't, we don't have to go to aggression and think of it in terms of a rapist or an abuser, someone who harasses women at work. We don't have to go that far. It's just even the silence, or the not taking action against some of these behaviors is a form of aggression and a form of violence as well. So that's what these people I've been reading their work have been saying, and that's what they mean by the man box.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, the man box is almost like this Pandora box that you don't really open. It's just where you put your biggest fears, your insecurities, and you just lock it, and it just stays there forever. Whereas I think women have a lighter attitude about it. We'll cry together. It's not seen as an embarrassment. And to be honest, it's quite freeing to be able.
Yeah, it's I don't really feel that pressure as much personally. I feel like I've got over a lot of those issues, but I see it within all of my friend groups.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to discuss my problems with other male friends because much as I might be open to discussing it, they don't know how.
Yeah.
So you'll say, "Oh, I've had a really bad day today," in a text to your mate, and he'll be like, "All right."
Yeah.
That's it. They don't know. They don't want to hear anymore. They don't want to deal with it because then they have to deal with some of their own issues.
Yeah.
So it basically links into exactly what you said with Pandora's box. If you open it, they worry that they open that box, their whole world's going to fall apart. Their image of themselves is going to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's this dichotomy between vulnerability and control. Most of these people feel that if they are vulnerable, they will, it's like you're saying, your world's going to crumble. You are going to lose control. Whereas it doesn't have to be that way. I think of myself as even enjoying and taking, learning so much from being vulnerable. And yet I don't lose. I feel I'm still in control. In fact, I think the more vulnerable I feel, the more in control I am of my feelings and just what's going on. And Mind Bloom is a good example of that. The more I put myself out there, the stronger I feel, really.